So,
So 14th February.
yeah, 14 February
Sharma's birthday.
73. Is it really?
Yeah.
One day before that is my birthday.
Okay. So, Nicolas Copernicus was born 14 February 1473 to a fairly wealthy trading family in a small town called Torun, okay, in Poland, in present Poland. In those days, it was part of the Prussian Empire, what was called as the Prussian Empire. Today, it is in Poland, and it is on the banks of a river called Vistula, which is, of course, still there. And
Have you written Torun in Poland?
Torun, yeah, Torun. In Poland, yes, it's in Poland currently. Poland, fine. And very little is in fact known about his family life. We know that Nicholas's father and his uncles were involved in the trade passing through the river Vistula. In fact, there is a very good chance from records that have survived that they were in the trade of metals. Okay, and in particular, they were trading in one metal. Can you guess which one it is?
Tungsten.
Copper.
Yes.
Copper.
Yes.
Silver.
Copper.
Copper.
Gold.
Okay. And therefore,
Brass.
Copper.
and therefore the name Kopernik. Okay. This is conjecture, a little bit of conjecture, just for you to remember things. That is why I am saying
Sir.
this may not be entirely true, but they believe this to be true. That they got their family name Kopernik because they were trading in copper. Yes, question.
Yeah, sir. Copernicus was born on 19th Feb, not 14th.
Oh yes, 19th Feb is what is written in my timeline also. I just took somebody else's word for it. Sorry about that. So it's not Vince's birthday. How sad.
So
Okay, yeah. Shall I?
his family just traded in copper, not nickel.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because you thought the nick is because of nickel.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least as far as the records go, the trading records seem to indicate that it was copper that they were trading in, and the copper would come by barges down the river Vistula on their way, because the river Vistula would connect directly to the Baltic Sea. So it connected an important trade route existing in Europe at that time between the Middle East countries and the European countries. Okay, so it was a very busy trading port, and their family were doing well. But unfortunately, when Copernicus was fairly young, the trade started to become poor. So Copernicus's family were becoming poorer by the day. And it so happened that Copernicus had a very powerful uncle who worked for the church, and his name was Uncle Lucas.
What, Uncle Ducas?
I'm writing it down. Uncle Lucas. Okay, and Uncle Lucas was a bishop in the church. And a bishop is a very powerful position in the church. He was bishop, I think later he got promoted even higher to cardinal. But basically, he was an extremely powerful position, in an extremely powerful position in the church. And therefore, he was also a fairly wealthy man. In those days, when you got a bishopric, as they called it, so what happens is that an entire region, I think it's true even today, but with some differences, an entire region is given to you to administer. It was a religious sort of administrative province which is given to you, and along with the churches that come over there, some amount of land is also given to you, which then farmers would work on, and then you would get the benefit of that. So Uncle Lucas had become fairly wealthy during that time, And also, unlike today, um, Uncle Lucas or bishops at that time actually had standing armies. Okay, and he was in particular fighting a band of rebels. I think the Teutonic Knights, if I'm not sure, if I'm sure. Um, and because of that, his position was even stronger within the church because he was fighting an active rebellion. And in such cases, people tend to become very powerful because you have an army and you get funding from the church to fight against these people, and everybody thinks you are a powerful person. Uncle Lucas seemed to have been otherwise uh, a very, very difficult person to deal with, a warlike person, a very tough individual. But luckily for Nicolas Kopernicus and his brother, uh, Uncle Lucas had a very fond liking for both of them. So when the family were getting into trouble, Nicolas Copernicus's family, Uncle Lucas offered to take care of both Nicholas and his, I think, older brother. What was the name of Nicolas Copernicus's older brother? About whom very little is known. Actually, unfortunately, information about his sister and his mother disappeared very quickly. And we hardly know anything. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, we do not even know the name of his mother, Nicholas Copernicus's mother. There are no existing records that mentions it.
Yeah.
All Nicholas Copernicus's writings also, he never mentions his mother's name for some reason. Okay, so anyway, carrying on with the story. So Uncle Lucas offered to pay for their education, and they sent them to, at that time, one of the best universities that existed. The university exists to this day, which is called the University of Krakow. Okay.
So it still exists?
Yes, the university still exists in Krakow.
People study there?
Yes, you can study there.
Where is it?
Poland. Krakow is a city in Poland.
Wow.
About I think about 300, no, not 300, maybe 200 miles or so north of Warsaw, which is the capital of Poland.
Yeah, I know Warsaw. There are a lot of it's like World War II.
Yes, Warsaw came a lot in World War II, and Torun, I think, falls under the same province as Warsaw, and Torun is not very far from Warsaw.
Yeah.
Okay, so they go to study in the University of Krakow, where they study among the traditional subjects of Latin and Greek. The other areas of specialization were mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy, apart from physiology, medicine. And actually, Nicholas Copernicus's, and I think Brother Andreas's also, training was basically in physiology. They both studied to be doctors. Okay, and during this time in Krakow, I think that Andreas developed some kind of disease, and he kind of went into obscurity. So he fell in with some bad crowd, got into bad habits, became a drunk and a degenerate, and slowly disappeared from his life. Apparently, he lived for many years, but there is a suspicion that he had contracted leprosy among other diseases. Okay, so Andreas kind of disappears from the scene at that point of time, and there is evidence also to think that Nicholas was quite close to Andreas and was quite saddened by the development, but carried on nevertheless.
Did he die?
Uncle Lucas, meanwhile, adopted Nicholas Copernicus because his father had passed away and there was nobody to hold the family together. So Uncle Lucas ended up adopting Nicholas Copernicus, and after some further studies, he appointed Copernicus as his personal physician. Okay, so did you get this point? Uncle Lucas appoints Nicholas Kopernicus as personal doctor. Okay. Apparently, in those days, people didn't have to worry too much about nepotism. Do you know what is nepotism?
No.
So I can guess,
Yeah.
like, didn't like much care about like who adopted who and stuff.
No, it's like so if you have a position of power and then you choose your friends or relatives for good positions.
Yes. In particular relatives,
Using your power.
yeah. So it could be also extended to friends close to you. So basically, nepotism is when you appoint people who are related to you to jobs using the power that you have. It of course will not include if you are having your own business and then you appoint your nephew or niece to that business, that doesn't count as nepotism. But if it were a public company or a government organization or like the church in this case, which belongs to ultimately to the people, there if you did this today, you could be investigated for nepotism. Okay, but in those days, apparently they didn't care much. Why? Because um, why is it a problem? Is because it's not as if Uncle Lucas will be paying the salary for Copernicus. If he is appointed as a personal doctor to the bishop of Ermland, where he was the bishop, Ermland, then it will be the church which will pay the salary for Copernicus. Okay, and there is every evidence that Copernicus was not much of a success as a physician, as a doctor. There was hardly anything that worked for Uncle Lucas, which was given as medicines by Copernicus. But Copernicus cleverly found a way to be useful for Uncle Lucas because he was his own nephew, so therefore he could be trusted intimately, and also because he was his own adopted son by that time. So therefore, anything that required trust, including transferring cash from one place to another, money from one place to another, he would trust Copernicus and Copernicus only. So therefore, the uncle and the nephew, or by this time the uncle and the son, sorry, the father and the son, became pretty close to one another. And this was to prove a very important thing for the history of science as it seems to be. So nepotism has its own advantages when looked back in history. Okay, how did that happen? So after being a few years working as the personal doctor for Uncle Lucas and becoming pretty close to Uncle Lucas felt that now Copernicus is getting old enough to have his own position in the church, a senior position. You see, people have to grow. You can't remain, as somebody who is just basically an assistant to the bishop for long. Uncle Lucas was ambitious for Nicolas Copernicus also and was in the lookout for some position to come to him. Meanwhile, Nicolas Copernicus, I think, went again to university for some time and studied Christian law. Okay, so that made him somebody who was qualified to practice law according to Christianity. There was some such field that existed at that time. Okay, so now what happened was that, fortunately for Copernicus, another position was going to become vacant in a distant province in Poland or Prussia at that time. Okay, and there was a cannon. So now a cannon is a position. It's not the actual the field cannon that is used in war to fire projectiles, but this cannon with two ends only is a position in the church held by somebody who knows Christian law. Okay, and it was a fairly high position because you have to be educated to hold that position, but it was also considered a fairly cushy position. Do you know what that means? The word cushy?
Royal.
Okay. Further guesses? Not quite, but yeah.
Comfortable?
Comfortable, exactly. Cushion, cushy, comfortable. So you see the connection. Why was it a cushy, comfortable position? Is because you get a fairly good salary. The church pays for you to stay. You get a large estate from which you can make a living, and there is hardly any work that needs to be done. Okay, so that is why the position was considered as a cushy position. Now, one such canon was laying at his deathbed and was about to die, and Uncle Lucas, again using his power in the church, was trying to corner that position for his own nephew. The whole thing was almost in Copernicus's hand, except that there was another contender, there was another person who was also supposed to get the same position. So it would come as, in terms of its seniority. So you would wait in your seniority to be promoted to the next position. Positions were held until you died. So if somebody becomes a canon or somebody becomes a bishop or somebody becomes a cardinal in those days, then you would remain in that position until you die. And when you die, you will be replaced by another person who would be coming from the next rank. So archbishops will become bishops, bishops will become cardinals, and one cardinal in many, in hundreds in fact, would become the pope. Okay, so the whole thing moved like that. In fact, even today, the cardinalship is a position which is for life. Once you become a cardinal, you are cardinal for life, unless you yourself choose to leave the position or you get what is known as defrocked. So if you get defrocked, that means you did something very serious against Christianity, and then your frock is removed, which means the dress that you wear for ceremonial purposes, that dress is removed, and therefore you are no more in that position. But if you didn't do anything wrong or didn't do anything right either, basically didn't do anything, you can continue in that position for entire life. This is a dangerous thing, as you can imagine. But anyway, it still continues in the Christian church.
Sure.
I don't have anything, I just want to make a statement here. I have nothing against Christianity per se. I have issues about organized religion as a whole, whether it is Hinduism, Islam, or Christianity, whenever it comes to accepting positions without questioning. Okay, and it seems that a whole lot of religion does that. But there is truth also in every religion. There is a message for humanity in every religion, and that message is very interesting and is to be respected. So, okay, so it's nothing against Christianity that I have. It just so happens that the whole thing falls under the religion of Christianity. This is how things probably happen. Yeah, somebody's question.
Yeah, sir. I think Shiv and Sondi have questions.
Yeah,
That was my.
please ask.
Yeah, sir. Shiv here.
Yeah.
So, my question was like after Uncle Lucas adopted Nicolas Kopernicus, like what happened to his mother?
We just don't know. Just imagine, we don't even know the name of this person. So there's nothing recorded of what happened. Nobody wrote anything about what happened to his family after he left Torun and got adopted by Uncle Lucas and set out on his path towards the the canonry. But other than that, what happened to his family, what happened to his, all that is lost to history. No written records exist as of now. And it doesn't seem like Nicolas Kopernicus made any efforts to contact any of these people also later in his life. He just kind of like forgot about them. It seems kind of baffling and perhaps even cruel when we think about it from our perspective. But we do not know what the conditions were like in society at that point of time, whether it was viable for Copernicus to even get back to his family and so on. That is something that we have to leave to speculation. Sondi, you wanted to say something?
Sir, didn't Uncle Lucas adopt Andreas?
I think both were adopted, yes. But Andreas Nicola. Okay, so like I was to continue the story. There was another person who had a better claim to the canonry, and it seems as if Nicolas Copernicus would not get that position after all. But as luck would have it, the person, the original canon, the old man who was about to die, recovered from his illness and became well again. So the canonry was no more at offer. And in the meantime, what happened was the second person who was supposed to get the canonry, he got another position and moved on. And soon after that, the person again fell sick. And this time, he actually died. And now the post was open for anybody, and Uncle Lucas, using his influence, it seems, procured the position for Nicolas Kopernicus, and Nicolas Copernicus's place was made. His life was made, basically. He didn't have to do anything for the rest of his life to have survived and made a good living. But of course, that is not how the story goes. So he took up the canonry at the age of 32. He is fairly young. Okay, at 32, you are looking at least another 30 to 40 years to live, even going by the standards of those days. He had a fixed salary, an enormous castle to live in, lot of land from which to get money from, and very little work to occupy himself. Now, the very little work is the interesting part. Most people would have settled down to a life of sedentary living, not doing anything much, maybe an occasional outing here and there, visiting the courts, entertaining friends and relatives and other officials. This is what you need to carry out your life entirely. But it seems, and that is what it seems Copernicus was also doing. But in the background of all this, Copernicus started looking back at what work he had done in university. And one of the subjects that fascinated him in university was astronomy, along with the mathematics and the geometry. And it seems that Canon Kopernik took up the study of astronomy again, and this time with some very remarkable results. Okay, so any question up to this point of time? So he was not alone in the castle.
He must have had maids.
Yeah, he
So,
seemed. Yeah, he. See, there were other officials also who lived in the castle, but I think there was nobody more senior than him. He was the most senior. He was the most senior person over there, and he had his servants and so on. But it.
So didn't all the officials have separate castles, like, or did they all live in one castle?
I'm not sure about that, but certainly there wasn't anybody of his caliber at that point. So nobody in his position. There may have been people at lower positions than him, but there wasn't anybody as senior as him. In fact, it's a difficult question to answer. I'm glad you asked the question. It's a difficult question to answer because it seems that Nicolas Copernicus was also a bit of a loner. There were very few people who could call themselves friends of Nicolas Copernicus, and it was probably because of the kind of nature that he had. He was a very terse kind of a gentleman, not given to much conversation, not given to much entertainment, etc., etc. He was just concerned with his astronomy and his work and carrying on as the canon of that place. That's all. History seems to indicate that there were only two friends that he ever had. The other person was a person called Cardinal Guy's, who was actually a canon in a neighboring region. I'll just write his name down.
So Prakriti also has a question.
Yeah,
I think it's almost time.
Yeah, sure. But at that point of time, when Nicolas Copernicus became his friend, he was canon Gaius, but later Gaius rose to become cardinal. So later he became Cardinal Gaius. That was one friend. This friendship he maintained for life, more or less. And there was another very interesting person who got very, very attached to Copernicus's work, because of whom most likely Copernicus published his final work. Okay, and that person Copernicus actually betrayed. The name of that person was Rheticus. Okay, so we get the picture of a man who was a loner, a lone wolf, did things on his own, very secretive about what he did, and had very little friends. So nothing exists in writing about what his life was like as he lived in that castle. So how did he come to do this work? How did Canon guys become his friend? Where did Rheticus come from, and what was his role in Nicholas Copernicus's life? All that we will see in the next class. Okay. So much for wanting to complete Copernicus and Kepler in one class. I just barely got through half of Copernicus's life, but I hope that was
So,
interesting.
so what's the